Hello, this is Cynthia Sue Larson with RealityShifters.com, and today I'm at the Dushanbe Teahouse in Boulder, Colorado. And this is a very significant place for me because when I was here mid-January 2020 with a friend, Nicole, and she's the author of the Book of Nicole, wonderful, dear person, and we had the best time at our dinner talking together about just the world and how there could be a sense of peace and well-being and unconditional love and sharing, kindness, all that. We were talking about all these things as the restaurant emptied around us to the point that there was no one left in the restaurant, which is right behind me, and it's a beautiful restaurant. It was all, this building was, there's a whole story behind it, which I'm not going to go into right now, but it's fabulous. The ambiance is incredible. But the best part of that evening, besides the excellent environment of the restaurant, was just this conversation that Nicole and I were having about how good it can get. And we just kept going higher and higher and higher till we were just in a state of almost euphoria when I noticed, oh my gosh, everyone's gone. We should pay the bill. So we paid the bill. But then the wait staff told us in no uncertain terms, please don't leave. You know, you can stay as long as you want. And that was really nice of them and unexpected. So the wait staff went back to the kitchen to do dishes or whatever they're doing. And Nicole and I kept talking. At some point I said, I need to get a picture of us. So I stood up, and as I stood up, a little tiny beautiful tea rose, I think, landed just at my feet, fell out of thin air. I hadn't been holding a rose. There was no flower on the table. There were no people around to surprise us and throw a flower in our direction. It just literally showed up out of nowhere, and it was gorgeous. Remember, mid-January. It snows in Boulder, Colorado. It's cold here. It was not rose season. So anyway, I don't know where it came from, but it seemed directly related to the conversation. Now, you've heard me tell this story if you followed all my work, but I want to summarize a bit more because the story then continued. A few months later, I was using the same purse that I'd brought with me to Boulder, where the last time I'd seen that rose was in my hotel room. And I did not actually, I think I saw it, I put it in a safe place in my bag so it would not get crushed. It was very delicate, but I couldn't find it. I couldn't find it at the airport, the Denver airport, or when I got back, it was gone. But fast forward a few months, and I was getting ready to talk to Candace Krog-Goldman, and she was talking to me. We'd set up the discussion, but that very day, I think, was the day that I was shocked, just shocked, to open the purse, the bag that I bring with me everywhere, which is a large handbag open at the top. And usually I empty it fully, put things in it for the day, get home, empty it fully. I do not leave things in it. I put heavy things in it. I was practicing martial arts, so I was putting all kinds of heavy things in it. Anyway, getting back to the story, it showed up the day that I talked to Candace Krog-Goldman, and it was at the bottom of my bag, and it was no longer fresh. Now it was exactly the same rose, same shape, same everything, because I'd taken pictures of it, but now it was dried and even more fragile. So if it had been there this whole time, when I'm putting things in and out of that bag, usually tossing them in, here's my wallet, you know, my iPad, my camera, whatever, water bottle, heavy things, all kinds of things go in there. It would have been pulverized. There would have been just little pieces of rose, not the complete full rose that I found. So I told Candace about that, and but this is even bigger story than that, because I think there's significance. And I'm back here today. Today it's November 17th, 2021. So it's been a year and 10 months now. But when I had this experience, I think this is extremely significant because it was before I caught what I found out later must have been COVID, which I caught at the end of January 2020. And it was before I got long COVID, which I just finally got free of, you know, back in the middle of this year, 2021. And I think when I look back at all this, it seems strikingly significant. A series of other strange things happened to me around 2020, January. And I think I documented those in a newsletter, Reality Shifters, for the I don't know if I put it in the January or February edition of 2020, but it's in there. And it'll describe, I think there's even a picture of me wearing a face mask, which was a bizarre reality shift when I went to a regular doctor's appointment where I live in the Bay Area, and I saw when I was in the waiting room, the sign suddenly showed, and I walked into the waiting room, filled out, signed up to show I'm here. And then while I was sitting in the waiting room, the strangest thing happened, and I looked at the sign again, and now it clearly said, everyone, all visitors must wear face masks. And I thought, are you kidding me? That seems really kind of draconian, and is that really necessary? I don't know of any problems here January 10th or whatever it was, 9th. It was early January. And so I complied with that. I wore the face mask, but then when I went to go see my physician, the physician inquired, why are you wearing a face mask? And when I went back out, the sign didn't say what it had said before, with the free masks available and everything. That whole thing, as I know it now, was a glimpse into another reality, clearly. Probably one where we did have, it's like the pandemic was already there. So it's like I'd been moving through at least a couple of realities just in this last year, clearly more than that. But these little bubble realities, these glimpses of possible other physical realities are always available to us. And that's the bigger message of all of this. It's not so much fixating on who's right, who's wrong. It's not about the politics. It's not about what the facts seem to be. Because I would like people to look deeper into the science, which is the science of basically quantum physics, which at its root depends on consciousness, the entanglement between each and every one of us, the fact that we're capable of moving into a superposition of states. We can literally be in one reality where we're just sitting at a dinner table with no rose, and then suddenly a rose could have always been there somehow, which I don't understand that, but it's super cool. And that to me was an indicator of the quality of conversation and the feelings we were having of what we needed for the world, to experience kindness, to experience compassion. We're still needing that for the world, perhaps more than ever. I don't think that ever gets to be a thing that goes away. What is that unconditional love? You could think of it as the root level of the lowest sense of entropy, which is a strange kind of a concept, but it's a mathematical, scientific concept. Yet it indicates that no matter how much things change, at the root of everything is unconditional love. It's the truth of the source from which we all spring forth. Clearly, we value love above everything else. Clearly, it's these things we can't measure, such as unconditional love, that are worth living for, that are undescribable in some ways. We can't measure them, and we can't all agree on what the color or smell or taste or feel of these most important things are, yet they matter the most of all. And to me, that's the meaning of this Dushanbe Teahouse, the value of getting to be back here again. Today I see there are roses in the garden, even though it's starting to snow. I think we're getting the first snow here. But these roses already, they don't look fresh and beautiful like that mid-January rose was in 2020. Again, just that fell out of nowhere, just at the floor, at my feet. And anyway, this realization for me is huge. It's still with me. I think some of the biggest reality shifts, some of the biggest Mandela effects are the personal ones, and they may not seem like much to other people, but to us they can be everything. And I think that's true for each of us to remember in our lives. You may not feel like you're doing much. You may not feel like what's happening today is necessarily all that meaningful, precious, or significant, but to someone it absolutely is. So thank you for bringing yourself in your best possible way into the world. And that's part of what I ask when I ask how good can it get. I'm really looking more deeply into myself and wanting to know how good can I be and get to be here in service in the world. So until next time, I invite you to keep asking that beautiful question. This is from the Dushanbe Teahouse here in Boulder, Colorado. How good can it get? Lots of love to you. Take care.